Feature Friday.
The freshest. What's up, people? Welcome to Feature Friday Plus. Today we are joined by Efra and
Hello.
Inigo Pascual here. How's it going?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's happening, brother? Good to have you, man.
Oh, so cool to have
Thank
you
you for
on.
having me.
We were just saying, that you do a show every weekend, like on a
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. We have this thing called Asap Natin To. It's a weekly variety. It used to be weekly, but now what we do is since there's a pandemic, we tape everything for 1 week, but that's going to be for
Nice.
the whole month. So we're going to be working for the whole week for the other taped episodes. Yeah,
Damn,
Jesus,
that's a lot of work,
that's a whole
dude.
day, right?
it is.
You're probably out there
Like
like
for
for
this,
days.
yeah, for this cycle, I have 10 production numbers to work on, but it's all good. I mean, it's good training as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it keeps you
Yeah,
fit performance wise, I would think.
for sure.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
people, I think people actually sometimes don't understand that part, like the actual key of performing often,
Oh, yeah.
because it's like a sport. It's like you actually need so
It
many
is.
reps.
That's true. Yeah. You have to keep doing it. And people don't understand that it's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of training and
Yeah,
discipline.
absolutely.
Not just because you know how to do something.
Mm.
You won't just make it just because you're talented. You have to put in the time, the effort, and the passion all together.
Exactly. It's so simple. Like I don't know if it's because sometimes one of the things I did for a long time was tennis, and I still do
Uh-huh.
it full time. And ballet went to the kind of like the music route. The more the theater performing theaters here in London.
Yeah.
And one of the things that like we always had in common, maybe mindset wise, is like bringing that sport mentality into music. Of like you just gotta put reps in and countless hours of
Yeah.
just refining
Oh
skill.
yeah.
Seems to work for arts and music as well.
Yeah.
hmm It's definitely the same. I mean, it definitely has a lot of similarities in that aspect. But it all pays off, at the end. Like when you get the results, when you win that competition, or when you finish that one performance, that feeling of fulfillment
Yeah.
is something I look for, and it's all worth it after doing all the hard work, for
I
It's good.
sure.
totally
It's like a
agree.
drug, dude.
Yeah.
That feeling
It's
after,
it's
oh
like
my
Yeah.
an
god.
adrenaline high.
Yeah.
It's such a high. I was just wondering, you started singing like because around your family, a lot of musician
hmm
people from the
Yeah.
beginning. Your dad
Yeah,
is
you
a
got you got a talented ass
renowned.
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, like your family is like like a royalty, right? In music. How
Nah.
come? How come you didn't start any earlier, or how did it all
Yeah.
come about?
So my dad is actually, he's also an artist. He's a singer,
Mm-hmm.
actor, and uh, him knowing that the trade offs of show business
Of
is a
course.
lot. Like the negative side of show business. He wanted to protect me from that at a young age. Um, Actually, the very first like few years of my childhood, I was hidden. Like no one really knew that my dad had a son. Not
I
until I was like
see.
5 years old. So he wanted to protect me as much as possible from people talking negatively about me. But it was natural for me to just gravitate towards music,
Mm.
towards the performing
Mhm.
arts. Even in school, I was always in theater. I was in choir. So it was like something that I personally enjoyed. I had a passion for it. So every year, every time I'd come back to the Philippines, because I studied in America, I studied in the States for about 10 years.
Okay.
Every time I came home for summer, I'd ask my dad like, "Let me do something. Let me do a project. Let me do a
Let
performance somewhere." He's
me
like,
do
"Nah,
some.
you're not doing it." He's like, "No, you're not doing it." He's like, "Not until you're done with high school." So it wasn't until I finished my high school that's when he allowed me to start doing stuff.
Right.
And the first few years of my career, I was acting, but I knew in my heart I wanted to be a musician. So
Mm.
every time I
Same.
had an audition, I'd always write in my resume, I sing, I play guitar. I'm
I
always
can do
like,
all of
make
this
me the
stuff.
musician. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
always just trying to like, tell them I know I want to sing. So then it was not until the third year of my career that's when I was given an opportunity to create music. And I'm glad that I chose that path. And
Yeah.
it's when you have a passion for something, I believe that it's given to you for a reason. It's not an
Mm.
accident.
No, it definitely runs in your veins. Though,
Yeah.
as a listener, I'm glad that you chose to do music too. Fantastic
Thank you.
stuff. Honestly, I really like the Latin influence
Yeah.
in catching feelings, especially. My God, being coming from South America, growing up in Venezuela, you hear a lot of Latin pop that it comes
Oh
on and
yeah.
on all the time. And when I heard Catching Feelings for the first time, I was like, dude, this is taking me back. It's
Because we
fantastic.
recently, I think you saw, we recently checked it out on the channel, and it was one of those like people sometimes send us messages like, dude, you
Yeah.
gotta check out this song because it's gonna resonate so much with kind of what the stuff you guys used to listen to in South
Yeah.
America. And I'm like, all right, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And then it was obviously in the Wish bus, and we were like, this feels like I'm literally back in
In the
Valencia in
radio,
Venezuela,
back home,
and
yeah.
the radio's just playing. And
Wow.
It
it took us
was
back 8 years.
sick. Obviously,
Wow.
the beat production moves going going
Yeah.
miles
I love
there.
that
But
guy.
me too. He's
Talented
so
dude, huh? Dude,
freaking
that guy's so
hell.
special.
He is. He is. Thank you so much. I mean, when I saw you guys do a reaction video to that performance they did on the Wish Bus, I was really happy. I mean,
We
every
were really
time
happy.
someone reacts to my performances, it makes me happy just to, yeah. Because I mean, to be honest, is to be part of that generation that brings our music, Filipino music, to the world stage. And like now that people are more open to different types of music, such as
Mm,
K-pop, Latin music has been around for ages. Like I love
Mm.
reggaeton, all these type of influences, and I feel like now is the time that we also share what we have in the Philippines.
absolutely. And I think
Yeah,
I kind of feel like it's selfish if you don't share it. You guys got
Yeah.
so much
Yeah,
talent.
dude,
It's
yeah.
like it's ridiculous. Like I'm honestly a super fan of everything that you guys
So
are
let,
doing over
let, let
there.
me ask you then, because you're obviously aware of other, industries and other sounds and stuff
yeah.
like that, which I think is paramount at the moment for
Mm,
every artist to just listen
Hmm.
to other music apart from the music of
Hmm.
their country. What
For
what type
sure.
of stuff are you listening to at the moment, or what has inspired you maybe when you were
Um,
growing up worldwide?
there's there's definitely a lot. I mean, growing up, I was always a big Chris Brown fan. He's one of my biggest influences.
Yes.
I guess I've always loved like R&B music. I love Hispanic, sounding music like that. That's one of my influences, even with my sound. I
Mm.
always want to incorporate something that kind of has that Latin kind of feel, but also
Love it.
mixing it with that island Filipino vibe that we
Yes.
Yeah.
have. Um, I also have an appreciation for K-pop. Like I respect their determination and their discipline with whatever they're doing. I mean, it's crazy how much they train.
Yeah.
Dude, the
Um,
amount of stuff they put out, dude,
yeah,
on a
It's
fucking weekly, it's
nuts.
nuts.
yeah,
The
these
freaking
guys are
machine.
crazy.
It's crazy.
They
Yeah.
are, they are.
Yeah.
So I have so much respect for them, and my goal, honestly, is just get somewhere up there as well with our music.
I think
And
Yeah.
the fact that you guys listen to our song, that meant so much to me, knowing that you guys are from another country. Yeah, that really meant a lot to me.
Nah, dude,
No, no, no.
it's very bizarre. Actually, we were discussing this the other day because one of the things about the podcast, because we do two podcasts, and the podcast on Friday is kind of like more like a reactions type of stuff where we
Right.
find music from all over the world. And last week we did Algeria. Like Algeria has one of the
Hmm.
most intricate and interesting music industries.
It's like the chord progressions, the melismas,
Really?
and yeah, it's wild. It's a trip to listen to
And
it, honestly.
obviously, I think it was last year at some point where we did a Filipino special where we kind of found artists and we started stumbling upon that industry. And
Mm,
I think it's probably
Uh-huh.
one of the richest, talented wise industries in the world. Like
100%.
Wow. Thank you so much.
dude, it's not a compliment. It's just a
It's
fucking
just a
fact.
fact.
You guys are so talented over there, and you have such variety of voices.
Yeah.
Acting is also a joke, and that's one scene that I'm very unfamiliar with at the moment in the Philippines, but it's ginormous. Dancing wise, it's such
Mm,
a rich industry, but it seems now it's really when we're getting to that point, and you're obviously part of it. We're getting to this point where Filipino music is no longer Filipino music. It's
yeah.
now gonna be
International music.
Filipino music all
Wow.
over the world.
Yeah,
Just feels
man,
like
that
that.
that gives me goosebumps to hear. That's the goal. I mean, that's my personal goal as an artist. And so I mean, thank you so much for saying that, man. I
It's
mean,
okay.
it just means that that our work is um we're getting to reap what we sowed before,
Mm.
and it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah,
No, it is good to listen to as well. I just think that the new generation with that you are like obviously you're the new generation of music overall, and it's so important what you guys are doing, promoting it online and reaching new audiences and stuff. And I think it's not only like a sense of responsibility, but I feel like somehow the world is part of what's happening, and I think it's pretty monumental. I
The
think,
internet era, right?
yeah,
It
it's
is.
dope. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Do you
How do you
find?
feel
I feel
about
like
that?
everyone's just
Sorry,
Yeah,
about
brother.
like internet, and
yeah.
I feel like now we're we're so blessed that even all throughout this whole pandemic going on,
Mm,
music doesn't stop. And I was worried about that when the pandemic hit us.
yeah.
I was like, what's gonna happen to my career? What's gonna happen to work? Everyone had anxiety from that. Everyone was like,
Definitely.
where am I gonna go after this? So I'm just glad that with the help of social media, um, and even just connecting with people from different countries is so much easier now. There's
Yeah.
easier access to the entertainment industry in different places, such as
Hmm.
Korea, Latin America. Um, I'm gonna check out Algeria just because you mentioned it
Dude,
earlier.
Yeah, check it out,
Um,
dude.
dude,
It's dope.
I'll
Algeria and
definitely check it out.
France, Algeria and the Algeria
Oh,
and the French
France has nice
industry.
music.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
If you like R&B, listen to Takey. So
From
it's
France.
spelled,
Takey,
yeah, from Takey. So it's Tayc. Freaking fire, dude.
Payc. Okay, I'll check it out for sure.
He's classed. If
He's on another
because it's like
level
old school R&B with
with
Afro
Afro
Uh huh.
influence.
influence with modern R&B.
Ah,
It's
It's fire.
sick.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
Don't
check
when
that
judge
out for
me.
sure.
and that's the other thing, right? Because you seem to be a bit of an old head with your music taste. Because I saw what was
Yeah,
that project you did with Moophs?
All out
All
of
Out of
love.
Love.
a lot of love with Air Supply. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how why that one? Why that song?
Why
How
that
did it come
song?
about?
Mhm. Well, I mean, Air Supply. To be honest, in the Philippines, they're one of the bands that just um captivated the hearts of a lot of Filipinos.
Hmm.
I mean, from a young age, if you were born and raised in the Philippines, you would know like automatically if it's an Air Supply song.
I
They're
Right.
just one of
see.
those bands. So I mean, it was just very timely that we made something that was a classic before. Even till now, it's still a classic hit.
Yeah.
But we wanted to give it like a modern take on those type of songs. I'm happy that I was chosen to be part of. They're making an EP, a whole EP of artists just making remakes of the Air Supply hits.
Class,
So
class.
mine was the very first single. So now there's gonna be several artists following
Freaking
after me
fire.
on
Freaking
that
fire.
EP.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
love that. It's great, and it so sentimental and in all the good ways as well. Like
Yeah,
the arrangements are really nice because it kept the core essence of the original song,
yeah,
but it
for
also
sure. Yeah,
added such a nice new pop sound to it as well. It's
yeah. That's
fantastic.
Moophs.
Yeah,
That's
I
moves,
know
man.
That's
that
Yeah,
is
him.
smooth.
it really had that moves flair, and
It
with your
did.
vocals and that kind of because I feel like you're probably one of those you I don't know what this is, and I'd love to find like scientifically why that is, but you have one of those voices when you sing that is one of those or you're just one of those people that when you're kind of singing, it's just catchy.
Yeah.
Like it just seems to fucking just stick. That's what I told you before we came on. I was like, dude, it's gonna be so hard not to sing one of your songs
Thanks,
while we're
man.
talking.
Thank you.
I don't know. It just has that effect. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it
that is
does.
science wise, or I don't know what
Yeah.
the hell it is. And it's obviously
Thank you,
not
bro.
just me, it's
Just
other
like
millions
singing.
of people.
You
Yeah.
get it. It's funny.
Thanks, man.
I honestly think it's dope, and I think it's such a cool idea as well to grab something that is so staple
Mm,
to your culture and
Hmm.
give it a new sound, give it a new flair,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
pay
Oh
tribute.
yeah, for sure.
What's crazy
Yeah.
though? I heard that you guys also are like super big on Journey, like the band, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my
We
god.
are.
I grew up listening to Journey, and nobody knew who
Yeah.
they were. Like back home, nobody like except for Don't Stop Believing, nobody knew who they were, who they made. And I stumbled across, the
Yeah.
Filipino audience, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, Journey, yes!" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
touched. It's freaking fantastic."
Like
And
they're just one of those bands that just like
yeah,
everyone sings on a karaoke. Like
yeah,
Filipinos love karaoke. Like we're always just singing. If there's a party, you always know that there's gonna be a karaoke there. You gotta sing something for sure all the time.
Maybe that's why you guys are so good at singing.
It's part of our culture. I mean,
yeah.
like growing up, every time we had a party, if you're a kid, your grandma or your grandfather will be like, "Oh, go perform for everybody. Go perform for everybody." But
Yeah.
you had no choice. You had to do it.
That's good. Is that how it was around you in your household? Like, because
Oh yeah,
obviously
all the
your
time.
yeah your dad is such a big influence in the whole
Oh
Philippines.
yeah.
How how did that come about? Like, did you feel any pressure by it, or?
Yeah, coming up, what? Because
Oh,
you mentioned that it was kind of
definitely.
like, you weren't really involved
Yeah,
since an early age, but when you started
yeah.
getting involved, did you feel that kind of pressure, or did you just feel free flowing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I felt so much pressure from a lot of people, even from my workmates, only because, I came into the scene without any like without any professional training background, whatsoever. I came into the scene, just as my father's son, just as a beginner. But
Okay.
since I am my father's son, everyone had this expectation that I was at a certain level already, and everything that I did, I was compared to my dad. In my acting, especially acting, because my dad's mostly an actor more than a singer. Um, every time I had a project, it always compared to me to him, how I acted, how I looked. So it was definitely hard for me the first few years, but I used it as a challenge. I wanted to, instead of it bringing me down, I wanted to motivate me to kind of step up and show them that I want to be my own artist as
Mm.
well. I got my own stuff to share as well. And I guess that's also where the music came in. I knew in my heart that I had this passion for writing music, for making music. And in a way, I knew that it kind of gave a definition to who I was as an artist. I
Mm.
mean, besides who my dad is.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a really interesting way of evolving though, because
Yeah.
I feel like you came into like when the beginning years of a career, usually people are like discovering who they are and whatever, but you kind of
Uh-huh.
had to do that on the spotlight. So
On
it,
the spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have huge admiration for you, and respect for what you've done.
Thank you so
It's
much.
really admirable, honestly. It's
It took
fantastic.
some time. It wasn't like a overnight thing. I mean,
Mm,
it took some time for me to kind of get over everything, get over my emotions and whatever people had to say. And now, honestly, I'm at a good place. I'm happy where I am, emotionally, and it's important to honestly check, to ask your peers if they're okay or where they're at emotionally,
mhm.
because you never know when someone's just like going through a tough time, or
Absolutely.
when someone's just beating them up, on their own. So I'm also grateful that I had like a lot of people that helped me out through. Actually, Tarsier Records, I'm so grateful for them. They helped me out so much with a lot. The whole team.
Yeah,
They
that.
really do seem. It's interesting you mentioned it because they really do seem at the moment, speaking to Moophs and kind of the relationship with all the artists.
Mhm.
It really does seem like
Hmm.
a label that's trying to do things
A different
differently
way, yeah.
from really good core values
I think
Yeah,
from more
of
of an
support.
organic point
yeah,
perspective, it feels
yeah,
very honest right from the beginning. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing as
yeah,
well. So yeah, it translates
yeah.
into their
It doesn't
project.
feel like work.
That's
Yeah.
good.
It's
It
class.
definitely doesn't feel like, well, every time I go to recording, he's always like, you want some drinks? You want to drink alcohol? Like, what do you want to do? Like before
Do you
we
want
start
to
recording,
chill?
like, like just to make yourself comfortable, like let's
Yeah.
chill, let's eat something. And I guess it's important. One thing that I learned all throughout, this whole journey that I've been doing is, if you're working, you got to make sure that you take some time to be yourself, like take like a day or two just to kind of relax and,
Mm.
express whatever it is that you need to do, just to make you feel like you are yourself again. Because
I
sometimes
love
things are
that.
just happening so fast. Things are just
Absolutely.
happening left and right, and you kind of forget that all of this happening in front of you was just a dream that you used to think of it when you were younger.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So
So
you got,
yeah,
yeah, I like that, because sometimes you gotta take a step back to really appreciate
yeah,
what you've achieved. Because when you're in it,
exactly.
you don't really get to
You
see
don't
it.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does a day to just fucking relax
Chill looks
look
like.
like for you? What do you
To
do?
be honest, man, I love to just like, I'm such a home buddy. Like I'm just, my term of like chill is just staying at home, or like I go to the beach. I love hiking. I'm such a nature person as well. Um, like sometimes like parties seem like work to me. Like I'd rather just like sleep in.
I
Like
totally
sometimes when I
get
have to go
you.
to a party, I'm like, this feels
Oh,
like work.
it's like, do it really?
It's weird though. Parties sometimes do seem to have that effect because you know how like everyone in parties, everyone behaves differently. Like
Yeah.
regardless of whether
Yeah,
you're the most natural person in the world, when there's a party, you always act to be odd and
Yeah.
different, and
yeah,
there's social dynamics going on. And obviously, if there's an
definitely. Yeah,
attractive girl or if there's an attractive guy, things
yeah.
change. You get nervous, maybe you don't. Then people drink, then you're fucking weird. And then
Oh,
it's like the day after, you're like, oh man, I feel like I just done a marathon.
Exactly.
I know, I totally get it. Like a perfect day for me, like to chill, looks like staying in bed, perfect cocoon, watching Netflix all day. That's my
Right?
perfect day.
That's
Uh,
mine too. And just like
yay!
eating whatever I want to eat, you know, like
Yeah,
ordering food.
pizza, ice
That's
cream,
a
and just
perfect chill day
chill.
for
Oh
me.
my god, yeah, the best.
Yeah,
I love
nah,
that.
I'm a fan of the marathon. I like the marathon
You
bit.
like the party.
I
You
like
like
the
the
Oh
party
party.
stuff, yeah.
no, I
Even
love
though I
that.
don't drink, but I still like the
Oh,
party.
really?
Yeah, I don't drink,
Mm,
no.
It's work. I don't. I don't. I
Yeah.
love. I was just wondering because when you go back to yourself and like, what's the writing process look like for you?
Yeah. It's different every time. You know what I
Mm,
mean? For me, like the way I see my songs, it kind of defines like the eras in my life. I seen like when I wrote my first song, Dalseo, like when I listen to that, it kind of takes me back to when I was 16 years old and I was just saying so excited about everything. My writing process is just I try to take what I'm feeling at the current moment and then I try to come up something out of it. But usually like when I write songs, like it doesn't take me just like one whole day to write it. Usually like I have like a couple phrases that I think of
Okay.
mm-hmm.
like just like a normal day. I have a couple phrases that this could be turned into a song. I write it down on my notes as soon as I
Nice.
can, just so I don't forget it. And then I come back to it. I jump back to it. Sometimes I can watch a movie and I can get inspired from that, and I can write something about that. So it's
Yeah.
a different process. Like Catching Feelings, I actually wrote that with my ex, and I'm chill with like people knowing about that because I mean that song wouldn't have been what it is now without her. She was actually the first. She made the first like beat to that song, and we made it
Nice.
in her condo. This was like I think 3 or 4 years ago. So I mean we're still friends, and she's always like updating me like, "Yo, I'm so proud of Catching Feelings and how it's going, how it's doing." Because I mean it was just like a random track that we just created in her room, and all of a sudden now everybody's
Knows it.
listening to it.
Yeah.
It's a bit bizarre,
Yeah,
right? Because I think that's also another thing that maybe some
Something so personal.
people
Yeah.
don't kind of don't understand. Maybe if they don't, or maybe it just gets lost
Translation.
in the whole
Mm.
experience of it. That sometimes
yeah,
songs, man, are basically like a piece of you, and they're so
yeah,
personal, but then they're now in public and
Yeah.
in the
yeah,
spotlight, and everyone's singing them like it belongs to them. And but it
yeah.
came so personal to you when you made it with a lady, and he's like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
How did that happen?" You know?
yeah. No, but honestly, that's the beautiful part about making music is because when you have something, I mean, it's scary to put your music out there because it's kind of
Mm.
like showing a piece of yourself to the
Mhm.
public.
Yep.
And the thing is, I used to be anxious about that idea when I was doing my first album. I was like, I'm scared that people will judge me for my music. They will find it corny. They won't take it seriously. So I had all those questions in my head, but not until I made Dahil Sale, my first track, I would meet people telling me this is the first song that me and my wife danced in my wedding, or
Oh.
this is the first song that made me want to learn how to speak Tagalog to like second generation Filipinos born in America or different countries. And there was actually a girl that became very important to me. She was a fan of mine that had leukemia, and when I met her, she told me that this was her fight song, and I didn't realize like it could be a song that it could have that kind of definition or meaning to someone else. Because the lyrics, if you translate it to English, it means because of you I'm strong, um, uh, because of you I will fight. It's basically saying like I can do all these things because I have you in my life. So that's
Oh, that's
kind of like the
wonderful.
message of the song. And when I met her, I was like, I didn't know that this song that I wrote before could mean like a whole different thing to someone else,
Yeah.
like something so much more deeper than what I was going through at the time when I was writing it. And that's the beautiful part about like writing songs is when you meet people and hearing their stories about how that song affected them in their lives.
It's wonderful. I think I agree with you. It's incredible how one personal experience or one ounce of inspiration can really impact somebody else's life to a
Yeah.
completely different scale. Like, wow, I don't know. I don't know how I would react to something like that happened. I would totally die.
It's
Yeah.
it's
It's crazy.
because it's so difficult to understand. Like
Yeah.
it's not an
Yeah.
easy concept. The
Mm,
fact that a song and music specifically can impact people in a way that not many other things can.
Yeah.
And music also seems to be able to encapsulate emotions, like,
Mhm.
for example, catching feelings. Let's say whatever emotions you had in that moment, like, of love, maybe of kind of like yearning for emotions, and this person,
Yeah.
you kind of encapsulated that in a time capsule
Yeah.
forever.
And it's like
Exactly.
immortal now.
Yeah, it's now immortal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
25 years from now, if my kids listen to that song, they'll still get the same kind of
Feeling, yeah.
essence, and then they can make their own interpretations. But that is such a like mind-blowing concept to me.
It is. Like thinking about it, I mean, it's nice that you pointed that out because I mean, like songs from before, like say Michael Jackson or like Frank Sinatra, like when we listen to it, like especially like Frank Sinatra type songs, like those kind of standards type of music, when you listen to it, it kind of takes you back to that era.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to those type of music, like jazz, it makes you feel like all of a sudden I'm in an old movie,
I mean,
right?
1920s. Yeah, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Now that you talk about Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson, walk me through your influences.
Hold on,
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna stay here. Hold on, I
Um.
just gotta press this thing there.
yeah,
No
walk
worries.
me through your influences. Like, what are you like? That because
Uh.
that's a random combination. Frank Sinatra and
I know
Michael
it's like so
Jackson.
far. It is very far. Actually, I love every type of music. I appreciate all kinds of music. But growing up, my biggest influence when I was younger was definitely Chris Brown. I was
Okay.
such a big fan of his, and then I became a big fan of Michael Jackson as well. And then Frank Sinatra came when I was like in middle school. I had this I was in choir and
Okay.
I had this dinner auction and I remember singing Just the Way You Look Tonight. And
Ooh,
then
nice.
it became I was scouted for a boy band in Tennessee.
Okay.
And then it was a song that I sang, so it was very memorable to me. And then I actually also got into country music when I was spending some time in Tennessee. So I got into like Hunter Hayes, that kind of music, Rascal Flats. And then
Nice.
now like I like all types of music. I mean, I found Rosalia.
Yes. Oh my
Is that her
God.
name?
Huge fan
Rosa.
of her.
Really
She
good.
has good
Rosalia.
music.
Oh, fantastic. She's awesome.
Damn, how you
Yeah.
land on Rosalia, dude?
I just saw her on YouTube. I mean, I think I saw an interview with Billie Eilish, and she
Oh
mentioned her, and I
yes.
checked her out. I was like, "Whoa, this girl's so
She's
talented."
hard, man.
And
She's
then
so cool.
she's fine. Also K-pop stuff. Like I'm a fan of BTS, EXO, like all those other like types
Yeah.
of music. So I appreciate all types, and there's a lot of Filipino artists. I'm not sure if you know Kz Tandingan.
Yes.
I
Oh
mean, you
my
might
God.
know her.
Absolutely
Kz
adore her.
Tandingan,
Mm-hmm.
big fan of hers. Sam Concepcion, Darren, he's one
Yep.
of my peers. So a
Dope.
lot. I mean, those are like my main influences in terms of music. Boys to Men played a big role in my taste in music as well.
That is
Um,
crazy. That is
Brian
crazy,
McKnight.
crazy.
Nice.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. Here's another funny story about Brian McKnight. We didn't know anything about Brian McKnight because in South America, like could have played like his most popular song, probably heard it, and never really like stuck with like the
Yeah.
whole culture. And then making music and growing into music and moving into London and then discovering that side, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not know about this? Like
Yeah.
I came to like listen to Boys to Men and Brian McKnight when I was like 17 for the first time ever. I was
Really?
like, yeah, because in South America, it wasn't
The
like
R&B scene is
it was like American
Is
R&B.
it? It's not as
Not it,
big, right?
it wasn't popular. I think now it is,
I
but
see.
back
Yeah.
back when I was growing up, not so much.
back
And
back when
it's
we were
I
well,
growing
see.
up. What was big in South America was like just salsa classics, merengue,
I
like
see.
yeah,
Merengue.
old school reggaeton,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
what else? Oh, you
It was
also
Daddy
have
Yankee.
the
Daddy
ballads.
Yankee was
Daddy
killing
Yankee.
it.
Yeah, dude, that guy's still killing it now. He's
I
like
know.
50 and he's just murdering
Dang, that's
everything.
crazy.
Yeah.
I
Like
didn't even know he was 50.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, I might be adding a few extra years. I don't
no,
know.
I actually think. Listen, I actually think he's more than like he's reaching
But
60.
that
I read
guy's
the other
that
day.
guy's has some of the best genes I've ever seen in my life. He looks the exact same.
Daddy Yankee. Oh
That's
my God.
crazy,
Hey,
bro.
Yeah. How old
It's
is he
crazy
now?
how those kind of people can do it. Like,
Oh, he's 45.
He's
Sorry, my
45.
bad.
He's 45.
45. Like
Yeah.
even Pharrell Williams doesn't even look like he's aging.
I know, crazy. I don't know what they do though. Like, how is that?
Like, give me some of that, whatever that is. Give me some of
that
it.
recipe. Drop it.
Yeah.
Skincare routine.
Yeah, dude, I aged 5 years last week. You know? These guys are aging like in decades. They just age 1 year per decade.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wild.
There was
Those guys are
one thing
crazy.
we spoke to Moophs about. We were like, the recording process with, because he came on the podcast a little while ago, and we are just talking about his process working with like someone like Bugoy and working with you and Kiana and all that stuff. And everyone seems, I find every musician has like little what would you call it, like little routines that make him go into a mental space that, okay, now I'm ready to record. Do you have any kind of like mentalities when you go into the studio?
For me, like when it's an original song that I compose, I don't like to have the song finish before the recording. I like to finish the song while I'm recording in the studio. And
interesting.
It's different for every song. I mean, there's some songs where, I mean, there was only one song that actually made me emotional, and I actually like broke down in tears like while recording it. Only because like the song meant a lot to me. But the other songs, I mean, like whenever I record for Tarshir, like it just feels like I'm just going to my friend's house and we're just about to chill, you know. And that's the best thing, like with Moophs, like he's so open to like whatever. Like there was a time I forgot which track, I think it was Lost. I was just being creative. I was like, yo, I want to hear something like on the beat. So he had me like record, can you do it? And like just random sounds. I'm like, all right. So that's a fun thing about working with someone that's like open-minded to, you know, creativity. Because I mean, it's important when you're trying to make a track that you guys meet in the middle. It's not just your song. It's not just his song. It's both of your songs. Just because you wrote it doesn't mean that it's just your song. It takes a whole team to create a track.
100%.
Not unless you're just super talented, you know, doing it all on your own, which some people actually can do.
Yeah. No, but I think there is such a magic when you work with people that are in the same creative space as you.
Yeah,
like
definitely,
you can feed off of each other, and it really creates something totally organic that it's worth experimenting, you know. It's I like that, and it definitely translates when you listen to your albums though. Like you can definitely hear it. It's dope.
I'm excited because I have a track that actually you guys might like. I'm so excited. It comes out, I'm not sure when, but it kind of has that Afrobeat like type of vibe. Actually, more reggaeton-ish type. I'm excited for. I collaborated with. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to even say it yet, but I almost said it.
No, it's okay. You can hold up. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Nah, dude. You know what's weird? I was telling this to.
We're gonna get like.
It's like, you know, once we experienced this in Venezuela when we were, recording often and touring. When we were kids, we used to tour a lot with bands, and it changes when you have someone telling you kind of like, you can't say this yet, you can't say that yet, or you have to be this bit, and you're like, oh my god, can I say stuff like it's so
like, I want people to know about it already, but I can't.
Hold on to it, you can tell us later.
No, but just drop us a text and we'll check it out in the channel.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah,
I'll come back over here. I'll come back on the show.
Anytime. Listen, this house is your house. You can come back anytime.
Thank you so much.
You've been to London,
I appreciate it. Thank you. I've been to London. Actually, I before the pandemic, I was supposed to do a tour with New Rules.
Really?
Yeah, I was supposed to go on tour with them, but then I couldn't fly because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We actually made a collaboration. We did some YouTube covers together. So I met the guys, super cool. And then I used to do this yearly Filipino show in London called Barrio Fiesta.
Yes.
And
super popular here.
Kz. Yeah, me and Kz would actually perform. I did it twice in a row. And I also had a guesting on BBC Radio with Kz as well.
Dude, hold on a second. So you've performed with Kz? Dude, I feel she's one of the best performers live.
She is
in the world.
Bro, she's wild.
I know,
like,
she's mad.
I'm her friend, and like the thing is, like, she treats me like a little brother, but like in my heart, like I know I'm such a fan. Like like when I see her, I'm like, You don't realize, like, I know you treat me like I'm one of your like little bros, but I'm a fan. Like you're like when I see her, like the way I see her is like an alien. Like she's just like, I don't know what planet you came from, but when you start performing, you're not human.
Literally, I couldn't agree more. I think you hit the nail
There's so
right on
many
the head.
levels to the
Yeah,
game, though. It's so
She's
weird.
wild though. Like
yeah,
we recently watched her performance, like from a couple of years back, like a few years back, with Regine Velasquez, and they did this
uh
like
huh.
Adele medley thing. Oh
Oh
my
yeah, yeah. I think it was
god!
yeah. I think I saw that. Oh, it was on
Yeah,
ASAP. It was this show.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yes. It was in that show, and I was like, Jesus. Like, and the crazy thing is, like, we were talking with McCoy Portado, her
yeah. The
guitarist.
guitarist.
Yeah, and
He's awesome, dude. He's
he's
so
amazing.
chilled.
He
He's
is.
dope. And he was telling us how she comes up with these like arrangements, with these ideas. Like she comes up with like, oh,
Yeah,
this is how we're gonna break it down, or like, I want to
yeah,
change it up here. And you're like,
yeah.
how do you think of these things? Like, how does it come
She's
about?
class,
That's
dude.
so true.
It's
Like when I'm
wild.
performing with her, like the good thing is like when I perform with her, I don't have to worry about where the song is going because I know
Mhm.
she's gonna guide me through it. The thing is, I always have to learn like a whole lot of like intricate stuff. Like where's the song going? Okay, so this is what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I remember because we did this one like endorsement together for this one brand, and we had a song, and then this is one part where she had me like harmonize this like super hard run that she was doing. I was like, yo, like relax,
It's
like
like a dude.
relax. Like I know you're talented and all, but you know you gotta consider me. Like relax.
Like, what do I do?
Nah, yo,
That's dope,
no, no,
dude.
no. You're one of those people that it's fine. It's people like us and everyone else around the world that it's like, dude, can you please just at least let me pretend that I sing? Like, Jesus
It's like,
Christ.
oh, it's just wild.
And then you've also what one of the things I saw was that you obviously now you've performed with all these giants
Yeah.
in the Filipino industry and also worldwide. What is it like to because you mentioned kind of going back, like kind of stepping back and realizing what you're kind of achieving, but you
Yeah.
also, I'm sure you have so many more dreams and so many more objectives
Oh
to
yeah, for
achieve.
sure. Yeah.
But what is it like to kind of, what do you feel right now when you look back at your work and you're like, damn, these guys who I look up to, I've collaborated with them, or this person who I like, I know them, you know?
I mean, Kz is a perfect example of that because I was studying actually when Kz joined the competition and I was in America and then like I came to the Philippines and I was like, oh, like I want to meet this person and then we're actually from the same management, same company, so the fact that we know each other personally and we do shows together, it kind of still blows my mind that I can call her like do you know the term ate? Ate
Yes,
in
yes,
like
yes, yes.
Filipino means like older
Big
sister.
sister, huh?
Yeah, so I
So
call her
what,
ate.
what does
So
a
that
tita mean then? What does that
tita
mean?
It's
is
like
a aunt,
auntie.
Oh, on. Oh,
Auntie.
right, right.
auntie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, even on ASAP, every time I perform on ASAP, and then I think 2 years ago or last no, it was 2 years ago, I performed at the Staples Center for the Filipino Heritage Night for
Cool,
a Clippers
dude.
game,
Well
and
done.
I grew up.
Congrats.
Yeah, I grew up like I grew up passing by downtown LA every time. We every time we would go to church as a kid, and I would always say I want to perform in that stadium one day. And the fact that it happened, and kind of looking back, it kind of just blows my mind that sometimes when you're young and when you dream and when you put the work in, you don't realize that it can actually turn into reality. So that's
Wild.
why it's important. It's very important to take it all in and not just do it. You got to make sure that you kind of step back and kind of just look at what you've done so far and what else you can do in the future. Because sometimes people get stuck at like, oh, I've done this already. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
got to see that there's
definitely.
more. There's way more to do.
Tell us then. What is your like like
Oh man, there's
personally,
so
if
much.
you want to share?
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean,
No, definitely. I mean, like what I said, to bring OPM to the world stage, that's definitely like the main goal.
Yeah.
But personally, as an artist, I want to go. I want to go to the Grammys. I want to go to those types of things, like Mama in Korea. I want to.
yeah.
I want to be able to represent the Philippines, but also I want to be friends with like Bruno Mars. I don't know. Call him
Damn.
Kuya. Like, what's up, Kuya? I want to be, I want to
Pull
be
up.
close.
Yeah.
My
But
God.
it is interesting though, isn't it? When you do achieve things, remarkable things, especially, or
Yeah.
things that you really dreamt of, it when you kind of look back at them, it's like, God, was that even me? Like, what?
Yeah,
How the hell did
literally.
that happen? Or it's also that experience of, okay, I've achieved that, right? So I guess that's off the list.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's
I
next?
have to move on,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
right,
yeah.
but you also
Yeah,
want to enjoy the process. So it's
yeah.
such a dangerous little balance of you don't want to live in the past, as you mentioned, because then you
Hmm.
stop living in the present. But
Yeah.
you also don't want to be
Yeah,
so self-critical of the future. Like, God,
yeah,
I still don't have a Grammys. I have to make
yeah. No, definitely.
consumed in that, you know?
Sometimes that's important. Also, it's good to dream and to kind of remind yourself of what you want, but also don't pressure yourself too much that you have to get it, because sometimes you won't get that when you put so much pressure on yourself. The more you think about it, and the more you feel like you don't have it. The thing that I've noticed is like when I do something and I just let go and kind of just know that it'll take off somehow, that things will fall into place somehow. That's when things start happening. Like when I decided to choose music, um, I mean, I've shared this story before. My manager would tell me, if you're gonna choose music, why don't you just go back to America? And the thing is, I it might sound negative, yes, but I understood him only because like my career was an actor. Like I was into acting. So why would you all of a sudden want to be a musician?
Musician.
But I knew in my heart what I wanted to do. So I knew what he was trying to do, and I understood him. I didn't see it as a negative thing. He was just trying to protect me and trying to protect whatever I've already created.
It makes perfect
Um,
sense, though.
yeah, but
Yeah.
when you choose something that you're definitely passionate with, you'd be surprised with the outcomes and the results, that it can bring to your life.
So what made
Dude,
you
hold on. This
stay?
fucking Zoom is annoying me. Keep going, keep going.
So what made you stay in the Philippines and pursue your music as in the
Um,
Philippines? Like,
I guess when I saw the music industry over here, I knew that there was a lot of talent. I knew that there was a lot of opportunities. Um, and I guess had I grew this kind of special appreciation for my language, for
mm-hmm.
Mm.
my heritage, and for my culture when I moved back to the Philippines. I felt like being far away from the Philippines for so long, I felt like I kind of lost that connection, with my roots.
Motherland, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so coming back here and kind of having that appreciation for it, I knew in my heart that I wanted to be in that scene, that I wanted to speak my language. I wanted to learn my language even more, and I wanted it to be known, in the
That's
world.
wonderful.
And that's why I wanted to be here. I knew in my heart that I didn't have to be in another country to make it. I knew that if I'm in the Philippines, we could make it together as a whole, not even just as a country. Now, I think music, it doesn't even matter what country you come from.
Literally, I couldn't
Like
agree more.
music is a universal language. No matter what language you speak, if you guys like the same music, you guys will
Yeah.
vibe, right away.
Do you,
It's fantastic. I couldn't agree more with that. That's spot on.
brother, do you not find that when, because this is something that I I I had to go through a few years ago, where I left South America maybe when I was
Yeah,
11, 12, and then it's been all over the world, and then London has become really like
Your new home,
my
like,
new home,
yeah.
right? And
hmm,
high school here, I trained here, so it's like it became this conflict for a good while of,
Where do I
so
belong?
yeah,
Yeah.
who am
I see
I,
what you
and
mean.
what do I want to represent, what values do I want to represent,
Yeah,
what culture do I want to represent, because both of them had a huge impact in me. And then
yeah,
it's kind of this question of, that's why and it goes, credit to you, it's not an easy choice to make, that you choose your
yeah,
motherland and you choose the values and the culture that resonated with you the most, but also is the one that's in your veins, right?
Hmm.
So
hmm,
it's,
yeah,
but this process, especially for me, was like, it was very confusing. I kind of had to do a lot of soul searching to figure out, because I'm
yeah,
obviously Venezuelan, that's 100%,
yeah,
but I'm not just that. I'm also like, around the, I think it was quite a corny line, but I like it to some extent. It was like some person said it to me. It's like once you travel and open yourself to other cultures and sounds and you know and sports and beliefs, you kind of become like a citizen of the world. You no longer become
Yeah,
part of one thing. And my guess is that maybe that's where your hunger to share and drive
yeah,
to share the Philippines and
yeah,
your culture to the world is.
yeah. I mean, my dad actually. It's good that it's nice that you said that. My dad always told me like he doesn't see himself as just a citizen of the Philippines. He sees himself as a citizen of the world. Exactly what you said. Um, and to me, I guess I love the Philippines. I love my country, and um, I also I love that I was raised in America half of my life, and I'm grateful for that. Um, but I actually do agree with you also with the whole like identity crisis and not really knowing which one is that kind of which one are you which
Mhm.
which category do you fit in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially for me like whenever I'm in the Philippines I'm always stereotyped as the American Filipino kid, and then when I'm in
Mhm.
America I'm always
You're
stereotyped
the
as the
Filipino guy.
Filipino
Yeah.
kid.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's always
It's
that kind of hard thing to kind of deal with. And even with speaking, like I ask myself sometimes like which language am I more fluent with, because there are times
yeah.
where I get so confused like when I'm talking Tagalog, I can talk Tagalog like fluently, but when I talk to someone like really good in Tagalog, I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm not that good. And then when I go to America, like I talk in English, and then I start speaking to other people, and I'm like, see, like my English is still limited. So I'm like, man,
No,
what is my language?
dude,
Like I'm just gonna start speaking gibberish.
I couldn't agree more. Like that happens to me all the time. Like first language is Spanish for us,
Yeah.
so we speak Spanish. I
Mhm.
literally grew up talking Spanish until I was like
See?
15, right? See, you got it. So when I came to London, I knew American English. I knew how to
uh,
speak English, but the culture shock with the accent and everything, it was huge.
oh yeah. It
And
was hard. It's hard to understand like English people. Like when I went over there, I was like, I would always have
yes,
to ask them to repeat. I'm just like, I don't understand your
what
English.
what is going
Yeah.
on here? And it's so funny. So that was really like a big shock, and I felt like I
Yeah.
didn't speak English. Like I literally spoke fluent English, but like I felt like I couldn't speak a word.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. And now, after so many years here, I, I feel limited in both languages, even though Spanish is
You
my
can
first
obviously
language.
speak
And
them fluently, but you still feel limited somehow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Wild.
Very odd. It's
Yeah.
actually very odd the
I
fact that that your brain does work like that, you know?
yeah. I actually wanted to learn more. I studied Spanish in high school for six
Hmm.
years.
Good
So
man.
like I can speak like the basic, like in America, like especially in California, it was
Yeah.
required for us uh to learn Spanish for 3 years, and then it was an option if you wanted to continue. I continued it only because it was so close to Tagalog. Like I knew like a lot
Literally.
of words. Yeah. Like there's so many words like tinidor, cuchillo,
Como estás,
a
right?
lot.
It's basically
¿Cómo
similar to
estás? ¿Cómo está? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and also I naturally also gravitated to Hispanic people because I felt because in my school like I just those are my people. Like if
Same.
they're Filipino Hispanic, it was just natural for me to like you're my family because
I
we
feel
had the
the
same
same way.
values.
Yeah.
We love food, like and every time I'm with Hispanic people, I feel like I'm with my family. That's how it feels like.
yeah, like Latino. We've discovered this. Maybe that's why we feel so kind of
So close. It hits so close. Your
bo-
culture hits so
both
close
with
to
the
it.
Filipino
Yeah,
music industry and also like lately it's been a huge response from that part of the world. Obviously, as we're checking more of the industry, and
yeah,
it feels like some of their values and the way of seeing the world and like family kind of like
Oriented.
traditions and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah.
It's so similar to how
Very
we grew
similar.
up in South America, and it's like, yeah, God, I think we're cousins. Like I
Literally.
don't even
I
think we're
honestly
like from
think,
different
yeah,
countries. I think we're basically from the same place. You know what I mean?
So
yeah.
wild. It's crazy because it's like whole different continents. We're like literally
Because
the
we're
whole
I know it's
far
like
other
from
so
each
world.
other.
far
So
opposites.
hard. And yet we're so similar in language,
Yeah,
like the costumes, the way we carry ourselves.
Kind of
It's
the way
it's
the
yeah,
way you guys cook and the way you guys like to flavor things is kind of
very
similar.
yeah.
similar.
in
you don't measure it. You kind of just
No,
go
you
like,
just go like whatever works.
diabetes, cholesterol.
Like sodium, how much can you put in there?
have you traveled to South America yet?
Um, I actually I have not. That's actually one of my. I actually want to visit South America.
Did you want?
Um, one of my goals is to go to South America.
You'll fit
I
right
know,
in.
like South America's rich with culture and just like I went to Spain. I mean, Spain is different, it's in Europe, but I fell in love with Spain. I went to Ibiza. How do
Yeah,
you pronounce it?
Ibiza. Yeah,
Ibiza.
Is that right? Ibiza.
it's
Mhm.
just in
Um,
Spain they say
It's
Z
said
Ibiza.
differently
Ibiza,
to
Z.
how
yeah.
in South America would say. So they say with a th, but we
Like
say
the
with a,
Right.
TH
but we
sound.
say with a s.
Ch.
Yeah.
So Ibiza.
Uh,
Yeah. So I went there and I fell in love with the place, the culture, everything. So I know, like, once I go to South America, I'm gonna just like love the place for
gonna
sure.
love it, dude.
You're gonna fit right in. That's all I'm gonna say.
Actually, I saw
Oh, it's my cousin.
yeah.
Yeah, look.
It's like, dude, don't you live next to me?
Primo.
Yeah,
Primo,
basically. Yeah.
hey, what's up?
I was speaking to oh god, who I spoke to? Fuck, I forgot. Oh god, I mean, I don't want to say the name because I might murder her. But she mentioned to me that you actually collaborated with what's that fella's name? Alex.
Aiono. Alex
Aiono.
Aiono.
I see. Yeah, he does a lot of like. Yeah, I think where's he from?
Is he Latino?
He's actually Samoan. He looks Latino. He's
I thought
actually
he was
Samoan.
Latino, yeah.
But he speaks Spanish
Yeah, I thought
pretty
he
well,
was.
doesn't he?
He's amazing
Yeah, he
in
does.
Spanish.
We did this cover of one of his songs, and then we also put Hasta el Amanecer in
Nice, Nicky Jam.
the
Oh
cover.
my
Yeah,
God,
Nicky Jam.
I
Yeah.
love Nicky Jam.
So we have planned actually to check that song. I think next week
Please do.
because people have been requesting. It's like, dude, you gotta listen to Inigo speaking Spanish. I'm like, what? He's speaking in Spanish, and it's so we gotta
Why?
we gotta check it out. That's gotta be pretty awesome. How did that come about? You guys collaborating?
Oh, it was crazy. Also with Alex, like I was a fan. I mean, I'm still a fan. Like there was a time he came to the Philippines, and then like I would watch his YouTube covers and everything. And then he had a guesting in one of the shows. I came in just to visit because I was a fan and I wanted to meet him in person. I wasn't invited to anything. I just wanted to go as a supporter.
Yeah, yeah.
See.
And then I had one of the shows here, and then I ended up interviewing him, and then skip to like a year later, we meet each other like in LA, and then we did this collaboration. He was like, "Yeah, I remember you," and just to
Dope.
think that he remembered me, and then all of a sudden we're friends, and then we did this cover. How things that you kind of just think
How did
that
that
could
happen?
happen
Yeah.
sometimes manifest.
Freaking fire.
It's a bit
It's
mad,
so
dog.
Yeah.
Like it's actually so nuts how all this stuff always happens. Like it's that I think that's one of the things as well about show business and the entertainment and music industry.
Yeah.
Things happen just so fast, and sometimes you don't even understand what the hell is going on. But maybe you are
Yeah.
right. Maybe it's just
being in the right frame of mind.
that it could happen to me.
Yeah.
It could happen to you. It
Yeah.
could happen to this person, and
To
then
anyone.
it does.
Yeah.
Just keeping those options open to the universe. It's good. It's
Options.
good.
That's the title of my album.
Woohoo!
yeah?
I
Yeah.
love
I'm
that.
not sure if I'm allowed to say that. But
Oh my God! We're about to get murdered here.
Now you know.
Now
Damn.
everybody knows.
Fuck it.
Oh no! You know
Yeah,
what's
whatever.
whatever. I was like, ooh.
You know what I was gonna say, but didn't you? Because you released the album 2020 as well, didn't you?
What do you mean? An album? Like an album in 2020? No, it's coming out.
So you were working on the album since last
Yeah,
year.
I'm still.
Right.
Yeah, I've been working on the album. It's been more than a year. It's almost been 2 years actually. It only kind of extended because of the pandemic. We
Yeah,
couldn't,
yeah.
come out with the whole thing right away. So we had to extend everything. Also, we had to shoot music videos. So, it took some time to make. But now I'm happy because we're gonna release the album very soon.
That's awesome.
And I was able to do a lot. And it's ironic how the album is called Options, because this whole project, like I had so much options with
Yeah.
like songs, music videos,
Mm.
everything. So I'm excited for this album. It's very different, with different sounds, different collaborations as well.
Ooh, dope.
A lot of reggae, Hawaiian, island vibes for sure. I feel like
Nice.
throughout the process of making this album, I kind of found my sound. And that's something as an artist, sometimes you find your sound through the process. Sometimes
Yeah.
don't pressure yourself that you have to be this type of artist just because you're releasing your first track. You won't find it right away. You'll find it throughout the process of, making music.
That's right.
And you will evolve as you age.
I think
I think
that's
that's
the
key.
key.
I think that's key to
Yeah.
understand. But you only understand that once you are creating constantly.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise that concept seems a bit too foreign to you,
Yeah.
especially because what is a lot of people use that as a catchphrase. Oh, finding a sound. Oh, this person has
Yeah.
a sound, and it
Yeah.
becomes a bit like foreign, like formless.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have
Yeah.
a shape, and it
Yeah.
only comes along when you're constantly making stuff.
Yeah.
And
You see, even the best artists in the world, like that's always one of those discussions, right? So like, oh, I used to like the old Eminem, or I
mhm.
used to like the 2006 Eminem. But it's like Eminem,
Yeah.
like just to use him as an example, or Chris Brown, for example. I'm one of the biggest fans of Chris Brown. It's like he has evolved so much
Throughout the
throughout the
years,
Uh-huh.
years.
yeah.
He has changed
Yeah. He
because
has, for
change
sure.
is inevitable,
Big time.
you know?
Yeah.
So
And it's actually a cool thing to also see it happening. I mean, now, because I came into the industry, I was 15 years old, and I was the young kid, and I would call like
Yeah.
my older peers like kuya ate. And then now that there's younger ones coming in,
Yep.
and all of a sudden I'm the kuya, I'm just like, man, it's crazy how the cycle just
Keeps
happens.
going,
Like
yeah.
it keeps going. And the thing is, I realize that once you're the older ones, you're gonna have to learn from the younger ones. Like now, like when I hang out with my little cousins or my like younger friends, I learn so much from them. Like
Hmm.
times are changing, especially with like social media, TikTok for that matter. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to just keep up with the trends. It's so hard to know what's cool nowadays and what's not. Like you
Yeah.
can't be wearing skinny jeans anymore. You gotta be, like now it's like so hard to just understand. That's why I like hanging out with different ages. I also love hanging out with like my older friends. Like I hang out with my dad's friends, like as if
Nice.
I'm one of them. Um, and I guess it's one of the key things as well is be open to different things. Be open to uh, I guess the world
you
and
got
different.
you got to, man, because you get left behind otherwise.
Absolutely.
Nowadays,
Exactly,
especially
you
like
get
that.
stuck. Yeah.
It's clever. It's clever. I was just listening to Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak's new
Have you
new
heard it?
collaboration. Have you heard
I
it?
haven't heard it yet. No, I haven't
Freaking
yet.
hell!
Actually,
You
was
gotta
talking to
go.
my friend about that.
Ah,
It
you
really,
gotta watch it.
it
It's
released yesterday,
freaking
For
dude.
sure, I'm gonna check it out for sure.
fire. Oh my
It's
god, they
brilliant.
killed it. And I was just thinking about that whole funk sound
Yeah.
that's coming back to like the music scene. How do you feel about that? Would you like to like try that out? Are you a fan of like
Yeah.
the funk hip hop type style?
I mean, anything Bruno Mars makes. I feel like Bruno Mars is just a trendsetter that I love that he incorporates old sound and kind of a sound that he grew up with,
Mhm.
and making it his own. Um, and I guess I mean, if given a chance, I would definitely want to do something like that in that field or in that kind of category. Um, and I guess like what I said earlier, like the cycle just keeps going. Like
Yeah,
something that was popular before is might be popular again in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like I was talking to my producer, I was telling him how um I have some songs that I wrote before, but I don't like it anymore. Only because like I knew at that time when I wrote it, I knew that was hit. I knew that thing was cool.
Yeah.
But now times are changing. I like a different sound. I like a different tune. Like who knows? Like after maybe 3 years, I might not even like catching feelings anymore. I might be into like some other type of music.
Yeah,
It's like a
definitely.
perfect example is actually Chris Brown. Coming from yo like say yo, and then like to like now like he's like rapping all these type of. You just have to keep going and kind of have to explore on what your strengths are and what kind of resonates and what kind of is what is more relevant to who you are as a person.
Because in each as you age, as you evolve, also things and the way you see the world change. So that means your music will be inherently different too. Because
Mhm.
if it
Yeah.
if it is the same, then that means you're not changing,
That's
and that
right.
kind of means like
Yeah.
you're stuck.
Yeah,
You're not evolving.
and it's weird.
No.
That's why I don't kind of like when I mean, it's not like I hate it, but I understand where they come from. But when I speak to my friends sometimes and they say like, "Oh, dude, like I used to f with the old Chris Brown more than I used to fuck with the new Chris Brown," and it's like that's cool, right? Like because you can look back at time and you can look to his music.
And I think it's just up to personal taste, really.
At the end of the day, but then it's also like it's interesting how he has evolved, for example, and it's also gonna be interesting, I'm sure, for you how you look back at your music and then 5-6 years now from today, you'll be like, yeah, it's interesting how I went that route or how I wrote in this way and how my lyricism has evolved from that day.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you can probably tell that on like right now. You can look back at some of your songs and be like, oh, I used to write like this, or I used to have these tendencies, you know?
Yeah, I mean, before like every time I wrote a song, it was always like a love song. It was always like a sixth grader meeting like his first crush. Like that's how like I wrote before. Now like when I listen to those type of songs, I'm like I cringe. Like man, I was such a a hopeless romantic. Like I was such a hopeless romantic when I was younger. I'm not saying I'm not anymore, but like what I said, like you change, you mature in life.
Yeah.
So I mean, same thing like with Chris Brown, his music matured and he also matured. And I feel like with my music, my album now is definitely much more mature than my past album.
And it's just naturally, it's just life. It just
You're
happens.
what are you, 23? Yeah,
I'm 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Dude.
It is interesting now because I feel like people say you don't really know what the hell's going on in your 20s, right? And I think they're right. I have no idea what the fuck is going on in my 20s either. But I think one of the most interesting developments is that age 20 to 30 music wise, because I'm sure you're very focused on this as well. Like longevity is key, right? You don't just want to be huge for 5 years and then kind of that's it. It's longevity, and I think that's what so many of these guys have done so well. Like Bruno Mars is so so admirable for that. That guy's been involved now in the industry for like 15 years. Many of these Filipino artists like Regine Velasquez, I think of
JR,
or Lea Salonga, for example. It's just years upon years and they're still relevant and they're still making great music and they're still at the top of the game. But I always find the most interesting development is those first 10 years, because you also find out, as your father did, like what's behind the curtain, the show business industry, the good and the bad,
how it shapes you as well,
and how it changes you, so it always that part of like the probably one of the reasons why I'm so interested in your music development now is because you're in that, I feel like you're in the optimal zone to find out like what's gonna resonate with you for the rest of your life. Who are you gonna be with yourself, not regardless of hits and money and fame, but who are you gonna become? Like I'm also going through the same at the moment. It's like, who's Ephra? Who am I gonna be? What do I want to do in the world and all this stuff? So I'm so interested in seeing how that resonates in your music as you get older and you get more mature, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for pointing that out. I mean, now it's like I'm hearing like kind of like good advice from someone who's going through the same thing as me. It means a lot.
Don't take my advice. I'm a dummy. Don't take my advice. Don't take my advice. It's gonna lead you to many great parties, but very bad Sundays.
Oh no!
I was like, oh my god.
No, you were saying. Sorry, apologies.
What was I saying? Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see also like how people are going through the same thing as you. It might seem like you guys are going different routes, but when you talk to each other, you guys are going through that same journey, of finding who you are as a person. And like what I tell everyone, the weirdest question I get is, how does it feel to be famous? Or how does it feel to be this person's son?
Yeah.
Like in my head, like it's not that different from who you are. It's not that different from what you're doing in your life. Like, when I meet some of my friends who are studying medicine and I see how much work they put in there, and then I know one day they're going to be doctors. Like, I'm just like, we're doing the same thing, like it's not that different. It's just that mine is just publicized, yours is that, it's just, we're doing the same thing, same goal, same mindset, same hustle. Exactly. But just the difference is it's publicized, people see you. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, like every move you make, it's like, you got to be careful, especially when you
Mhm.
go to parties.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure of that. I think it's an interesting interesting route as an entertainer though, because you feel like you have this responsibility to like give to everybody that you're performing to. And when
Mhm.
I feel like I experienced it at a very we experienced it at a very small scale compared to yours, very tiny. But back home we worked in TV when we were younger, and we traveled a little bit around the country making music. And
Those times were fun.
yeah, it was fun, but I understood that there was this responsibility that even when I didn't want to entertain, I was still the
Yeah,
entertainer, you know? And
yeah,
that was difficult to deal with. And I don't,
yeah.
yeah, I couldn't, you know, imagine what it's like for you. It's hard. And respect,
It's
dude,
hard.
respect.
It makes sometimes like you kind of think you're bipolar. You know, sometimes you kind of just like you kind of just accept that you have to be bipolar just because it's part of the job.
Yeah.
And like there's times when you're not good. So there's times when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're just not having it. But once you face the camera or once you see people,
You're a different
automatically
person, yeah.
you gotta smile. You gotta, and that's what like there was a time I met. I was actually studying at the time, and then I went to the one of the local malls next to my college,
Mm-hmm.
but I was already making music at the time.
Okay.
I was buying food, and then this family saw me, recognized me. I was outside the store. They were inside. They start knocking on the outside on the window, and they're like, "Can we take a picture?" So I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So I came inside the store just to take a picture with them, and I don't like smiling when I take pictures. Like I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't do that. So I just like kind of put like a small smirk, right? And then the mom or the aunt was like, "Can you smile? Like, can you show your teeth?" And I was just like
Sure.
yo, like I'm not a puppet. Like I
Yeah.
felt so bad for myself that I walked in there because I was happy that you guys recognized me, my music, and who I was.
Mhm.
But to treat me like I'm your property, that I had to smile because you want me to smile and you want me to show my teeth. That's I felt bad for who I was. Like I
It's
felt
weird,
bad.
right? It's very
Yeah.
weird.
It's a bizarre
It's
concept
weird because
because people like detach the fact that you're human for a second. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
and
strange.
it's also then you don't want to be ungrateful because it's also
Yeah.
the odds are always against you in the show business, and the fact that people support you, that's
It's the
amazing.
reason why you're doing
But
it.
at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, where do you
Yeah.
draw the line? Like I also,
Exactly.
I'm a person as well, you melon. Don't
Yeah.
treat me like I'm a fucking puppet,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be mean,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, that's also one thing that I had to learn through the process. Like
yeah.
I am a natural as a kid, I was a natural, like I just loved entertaining people, but it became kind of like a sickness. It kind of became like my sickness where I thought that if I was in front of people, I had to be a certain way.
Mm.
And sometimes that can be toxic to yourself. Like when you have that mentality that I gotta impress these people.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna put so much stress, so much anxiety to who you are when you don't achieve it. And like especially now, like with my music, you know, the people are hearing it. Not everyone will like your music. Not everyone will appreciate your music. Some people will hate it.
Yeah.
And having that mentality that you have to impress everyone, that will get you nowhere. Like if you have that mentality, because you got to realize that you will meet people and you will have an encounter with people that will just think you are crap,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to have the courage and the strength to kind of overcome that. So if you're one of those people that kind of just think that I have to impress them, if I don't impress them, then it's a fail.
Mm.
You got to realize that not everyone will like you, not everyone will appreciate your music, and you got to just deal
Roll
with
with
it
it. Yeah.
and keep going. You roll with it.
Just part of the job, right?
It is.
It's part of the job. Yeah.
It's just wild though, because as artists, creative people, it's interesting that we depend and we measure like the quality of our work through people's opinions. And
Yeah.
I think that's why
That's
people
interesting,
like
right?
you,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think because, for example, like an engineer, right, a civil engineer that builds a house doesn't need like the public to say, oh, bravo, great house.
Yeah.
It's just good job and it's done and it's ready. But for entertainers and creative people, it's like you kind of depend on that feedback. And
Yeah.
then you gotta have the perspective where you can detach that opinion from your actual work too. Because if you felt like you
Mhm.
did a good job with your new album, if you felt like you did a good job with your new piece of work, then that should be enough for yourself.
Enough.
Obviously,
Exactly. Yeah.
sales then come in hand, then marketing comes after. But
Yeah.
if I'm talking like a personal level, like,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's wild though. This career path is
Okay,
wild.
it comes with balance,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
I think it comes with balance because I
Yeah.
feel like, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, brother. But I feel like peers' opinions matter, yes, to some extent. I mean, at the end of the
Hmm.
day, that's what
Yeah. For sure.
making it for them. But it also matters how you feel and what you feel of your work. But it's finding
Yeah.
that kind of golden balance so that
Exactly that.
you don't give more credit to yourself, because then you start drinking your own,
Kool-Aid.
your
Hmm.
own Hennessy, or
Yeah.
you don't give too much power to external sources of validation,
Yeah.
because they put you down. Like the balance goes like this:
Yeah.
it puts one down or it puts the other one up. So
I agree.
I think it's a bit of balance. Let me ask you this, brother, because I know
Yeah.
you're very on social media. You're on the whole TikTok scene and stuff like that, which I'm very unfamiliar with. I'm not very big on TikTok, so don't tell me the dances and
No
stuff like that.
worries.
I'm not gonna
No
understand.
worries.
But and I'm 22, but I don't know. It seems for some reason people make fun of me for this fucking reason. But it's like I don't look at memes. I don't like scroll around on Instagram. I don't do any of that stuff.
You're a
Yeah.
50-year-old man.
But because I don't know, I just find it boring. Like, because then when I look on my Instagram, say I see, so I don't know, I see some other girls like, oh, I'm in Monte Carlo right now, and I'm like, why am I not there? And then I shut the phone off. You know what I mean? Or I go down, and then I see a really funny like picture or really funny meme or whatever, and then I'm stuck and I'm just scrolling like a zombie, and then I'm just there for hours. So I've just
Yeah.
found no, I don't do any of that stuff.
Fair enough.
But one of the things that, as influencers and models and all this stuff, feedback obviously matters. How have you dealt with being so involved in the new scene, which is obviously hot, the TikTok scene, with so much feedback and the comments and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What's your approach to it?
I mean, social media is both good and bad. There's pros and cons to it. Um, and there are times, honestly, like, I mean, there's this term called, social media detox,
Yeah.
detox. People do that kind of thing, and like Twitter for me, sometimes I can't handle Twitter. Twitter is just too crazy sometimes. Like, I don't like staying around Twitter sometimes because I just find myself
Yeah.
reading the weirdest things on Twitter.
It's
Um,
true.
and then I guess for me, like in terms of feedback and stuff, I actually enjoy it. I enjoy that I get to communicate with them easier. With my supporters, it's an easier way to easier access to. Also, me trying to reach out to my role models. If I'm trying to connect with another artist, it's easier for me to kind of connect with them through social media.
Yep.
But in terms of feedback, I actually I like what you said earlier about having that balance of uh, being able to stick to what you love and having a strong kind of a strong
Maybe
like
grow.
base for that, and you
Yeah,
kind of who you are as a person, but also having that mentality where you're allowing yourself to listen to what other people have to say, especially the ones in front of you, the ones that are actually within your circle, because you know that they're going to be honest with you. They're not going to give you like some
Sugar
fake
coated
feedback, sugar
opinion.
coated
Yeah.
stuff, opinion. So finding that balance where you don't lose yourself because of what they're saying, but also having that open mind where I want to know how you feel. I've grown to be like that, especially with the management I grew up with. I love that they tell me like if I didn't perform so well, and in the beginning, like I was a hard-headed kid. Like I'd tell them I knew I did good. Like I was like that kind of kid. Like I knew in my heart I did good, but they're gonna tell me, no, you didn't do good. You didn't do this. You didn't do
Yeah.
it right. And before, like when I was younger, when I was like 16, 17, that would hurt my feelings because I knew I gave my all,
Yeah.
but they would point out my wrongs. But now I get it now. I get where they're coming from now that I'm older and kind of, I understand it a little bit more. I'm, I guess like when you're younger, you just seem, you want to seem like you know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And then as you mature, that's when you realize that there's so much more to learn from other people than just yourself and what you know. Like sometimes I learned some of the best things from someone that I just met, like, at a coffee shop, or someone that just was in front of me on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes the weirdest, like the weirdest conversations would just happen and you would get like such a important
Piece of
info,
like a
information.
golden nugget
Yeah.
type of thing. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
yeah.
It's interesting though. Life hits you with some type of like information sometimes that you like could never expect, and
Yeah.
I totally relate. But you gotta be like open,
Yeah.
because otherwise this stuff comes to you and it never like sticks with you because you're not
Yeah.
in that frame of
Mm.
mind. But
Yeah.
it's wild because once you open up to that, then suddenly you're receiving information from literally everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's golden.
You
It's
know, man, brother, that's why I like um, sports because, and especially being involved inside, even if it's just a hobby or if you're doing it full time or as a pro. And that's probably what I like. And I always do this in the podcast. I encourage everyone to just listening or watching to just get involved in some sort of
physical.
sport
Yeah.
activity because it's clear cut. You won, you lost. So if you
Mm-hmm.
lost, you learn. If you win, you can win better. So it's so
Yeah.
clear cut. I think the difficulty with art, music, art itself is that it's so
Subjective.
subjective, right? How do you know if it was good? Because you felt it. How the hell do you measure emotions? Too
Yeah.
difficult. How do you measure people's
Yeah.
emotions? In likes, in sales, in views? That's not gonna lead you too many places, man. So it's
Yeah.
like that's why I really, really like the idea of sport or working out itself. It's like,
Yeah.
did you do it or did you not do it? And then
Because you know the results instantly.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
humbles you. You lost, bam,
Yeah.
you're not as good as you thought you were. Work harder.
Yeah.
Or you won. Oh, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am pretty good. Let's see if next time I win. Ah, you lost. You're not as good as you thought you were. So it's kind of this
Yeah.
cycle that I think sports does really well, or working out, or physical activity does. Maybe hiking, as you mentioned, is one of the most
Yeah.
interesting ones mentally, right? Because it's like a analogy for life. You keep tracking forward for no reason,
Yeah.
just because you want to, and you want to find out beauty of nature. You know, I always find that kind of mentality from sport probably can help somehow,
Yeah.
especially maybe artists or people that kind of are in this subjective plane of work, because you get humbled often and you also get a reward instantly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's tough though. Like, I'm not, I'm not into sports whatsoever. I literally cannot. My hand-eye coordination is like zero. So I find it difficult to like personally find something like a sport that relates to me. But dancing, for example, when I was training as a dancer, the it was very clear cut. You either were good enough or you weren't, and either you had to
Mm-hmm.
work harder or you didn't, and it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what is it like for you, like what is your physical scape, like that
Playing
helps you
sports,
find, yeah.
Well, I used to play football actually back when I was in the States, but right now,
football as in
um,
this football,
like
or
As in
football
no,
like
as
no,
in
no, like
soccer?
soccer.
soccer,
Oh,
soccer
soccer,
Soccer.
football.
actual
Yeah.
football. Thanks.
Yeah, actual football. Uh, not to hate on American football. But right now, I mean, my sports, I used to box. Um, Ryan Garcia actually got me into boxing. I would watch his videos and I was like, I want to be like this guy.
Let's go.
Um, and then I mean, right now I've been training. I actually got into this whole journey, this whole training thing that I'm doing, where I would train every day. I would dance every day.
Nice.
Um, I'm not allowed to talk about this as
Okay,
well.
Oh shit!
let's not
I'm
talk
just so
about it.
comfortable right now. Like I don't want to talk about it. You're all good. It's like I know I've been posting it on my social media. I've been doing something, but it's basically I'm training. Um, I'm basically training myself to be a better artist, and
All right.
there's a group of people helping me out
Oh,
that
how
are just like pushing me way harder than I've ever been.
you recording it and stuff
How
like
harder than I've ever. Yeah, it's documented as well.
Oh,
So
right,
that
right,
kind
right.
of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. You're hyping up the future so
Yeah,
much
dude.
right now.
Man.
I'm like, oh my god.
Let's go.
You know what I wanted to do, brother? I wanted to your video Catching Feelings, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to watch it together and then you can kind of break down?
Let's do it.
Yeah, do you want to try
Yeah.
that for a bit? Yeah,
Let's
I
do it.
thought I thought about it like earlier this morning. I was like, I wonder if we can do that. I don't know if we're allowed. I think we are. Just fucking let's do it.
I think we are. I can see why that went so viral. I love that element of it. So
Actually, the one of the choreographers for that was Bruno Mars's choreographer.
No.
dope.
Yeah, Phil Tayag for
Freaking hell.
this part was his. So we actually got to collaborate with him on that. So it's cool because he's also Filipino.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
class.
My God, I can totally see why this is such a hit, though. Like,
Thank you.
there is undeniable every factor of it, from the music video to the lyrics, the musical composition, everything just really collides together in such a great way. It's freaking chemistry the whole way
No,
through is
Thank
brilliant.
you.
I think
Thank you so much.
it's worth mentioning to people listening and watching to check out. I think what is one of my favorite projects of you that you have done, which is the All Out of Love kind of like rendition with
Yeah.
Moophs. It's in Tazia's channel. We'll leave the links in the below and stuff like that, so you guys can check all that
Please.
stuff out. But it's class, man. Like it's really very refreshing. Like the sound you've
Thank
come
you.
up with and the way you create, and also it's very very interested now to hear your album, right? To hear kind of
Yeah.
what the core story, what the core kind of sounds,
Yeah.
because now you're saying you found your sound and you really feel like you
Yeah.
found it. But I thought you already found it because this shit is hard as hell, man. So
Thanks, man.
it's
I
very
actually
interesting. Let me just take
I also
the
wanna
picture off. Hold on.
no worries. No worries. I also wanna ask you guys if you guys could also check out Options, the music video. Yeah, that's one of my favorite
Absolutely.
music videos
Listen,
that I
no
ever shot.
questions asked. I'm
Yeah.
totally gonna check it out. Just drop us a
Yeah.
text, and if you want to come
Oh.
back and watch it with us,
Yeah.
please do.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna check out your on Tuesday. We'll check out that one with Alex.
Yeah.
Alex Aiono.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we kind of do like on Fridays we do obviously the main podcast, which is like the reaction based podcast, and then on Sundays,
Mhm.
which is the one we're doing right now, that's coming out tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then on Mondays, like throughout the week, we kind of check out reactions and people's that tell us to review stuff. And one of the ones that it has been coming up often is that one, so we'll definitely check that one out. I'll drop you a text, so if you want to see what we think and what people
Cool.
also think, because it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see what kind of like
Yeah, let's do it.
people that also speak Spanish kind of be like, oh my god, because I'm telling you, they're gonna say you speak
Yeah.
Spanish, because I feel all Filipinos secretly speak Spanish. I just think
Literally.
it's just not activated yet, and I feel like I'm serious, and I feel
Yeah.
like because Vale did a cover of what is it?
Paubaya.
Pau Vaya by Moira. She's fucking amazing, that lady, Moira de la Torre.
Oh yeah.
And Vale did a cover
Muere
of
de la Torre. Yeah.
yeah, she did. Vale did a cover of what the hell was it? Pau Vaya.
Paubaya, yeah.
And in it seemed that for some reason Tagalog and Spanish, when Vale did the cover in Tagalog, people were like, hey, that's not too bad. That's like the Tagalog,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like it sounds like you're from here. And I'm like,
Speaking. Yeah.
if I was going to try to speak, imagine another language like French or I don't know, Italian, you would straight away pick off.
Yeah.
This person's not
Yeah.
fluent in this. But it seemed that people were
Yeah.
like, it's actually not half bad
Bad.
pronunciation. So I'm like,
I
I'm
was
now
surprised.
now,
Yeah.
Wow.
now in my theories, all Filipinos can probably also speak in Spanish
Spanish.
100%.
Needed na. Oh, right. They're just
It's
asking
okay.
me. No,
You need
sorry
to
about
go,
that.
it's fine.
No,
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I might have to
That's all
leave
right.
soon. Yeah,
Thank you so much, anyways, for
yeah.
the
But
this
I want to
chat.
thank you guys, of course, for having me. And yeah, And of course, I'm gonna come back on this, you guys.
Absolutely.
I'm inviting myself to you guys' show.
You're welcome anytime. And drop us a
Yeah,
text when
thank you
you're
guys
back
so
in
much for having
London.
me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
When
yeah.
you're back in London, when the
Will
whole
do for
pandemic
sure.
stuff is gone,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
come on. Look, the house is now yours.
Will do.
Whenever you're ready, you can come back
Thanks,
whenever you
man.
want.
Thank you.
Anyways, everybody,
I
Inigo
appreciate
Pascual,
it.
check out both Catching Feelings and All Out of Love. Links will be in the description,
Yes,
stuff like
please.
that. Best of luck, brother.
Thank you so much.
Nice
Thank you
Take
having
so
you.
care.
much. You guys take care.
Bye-bye. You
too, man.
too.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Good luck with the show.